Hi everyone, my name is Savannah Brock. For this week's topic, I decided to share with you about anxiety. There's two reasons for this. The first is because I have struggled with anxiety for quite a while, and so I've had some personal experience with it. And the other reason is because our lives, for most people, are just so incredibly busy and stressful that it's something that we need to take the time to address. Today, I want to share with you guys a quote, two verses that talk about anxiety that I have personally used to hold on to help my anxiety, and then also a few ways that we can work to overcome anxiety on our own. So the quote is, on average, a person's anxiety is focused 40% on things that cannot or will not ever happen, 30% on things in the past that can't change, 12% on things that of, of criticism by others that are mostly untrue, 10% about health, which gets worse with stress, and about 8% are real problems that we will face. That's a quote from Sermon Illustrations on sermonsearch.com. I have struggled with anxiety to the point that I am now on medications for it, and I had to come to terms with that with God because I felt like I had to carry it all, and I realized that I don't. I realized that God cares about my anxiety, and God wants to bear it for me. He doesn't want me to bear it. The verse that I found that backs this up is 1 Peter 5:7. It says, give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares for you. That verse, when it settled in, it made sense that if it's in the Bible, it must be true, and God doesn't want me to bear this on my own. Another verse that I have found to be helpful in this situation is Matthew 6:34, and it says, so don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's troubles are enough for today. Now, this can mean a lot of things, but the way I'm choosing to use it today is that it helps us to focus on one thing at a time. Today is what we've been given. Today is what God calls us to focus on. That is all he asks us to focus on. That is all he requires of us. And for a lot of us, that's going to give us a lot of peace. I have a friend who constantly reminds me that I need to have a checklist so that I don't become overwhelmed by all the things that I have to do in a day. Because when I have my checklist, I can go, okay, I have this many things to do, but I'm only going to focus on this one thing at a time. And before I know it, my day is over and I have completed everything on my checklist. There are a few ways that I have learned through counseling, through life experience, from friends, from people who have struggled with anxiety, some of the ways that they deal with it in everyday life. And one of the most common phrases that I hear people tell me all the time is baby steps. You don't run before you walk, you don't walk before you crawl. You're taking those little steps and you're trying something new and you're building upon what you've already known. Those baby steps are going to get you where you need to go at the pace that you need to go, and it's okay to take little steps. The next thing is to remember to take one thing at a time. You can only do so many things. You can only focus on one thing at a time. Try and remember to focus on that and then move on to your next task. Don't try to accomplish everything all at once because then you're going to feel overwhelmed and nothing's going to get done the way it should. The last thing I want to remind you guys to do when you're facing stressful situations, whether it be anxiety or just in the moment stress, is to remember to breathe. Breathe in, breathe out. It makes a huge difference. It brings oxygen to your brain, which releases the chemicals that we need to help calm ourselves down. I also want to share with you at this point why I don't have any props with me this week is because I wanted to make a point in saying that sometimes things are just too stressful and sometimes you don't need to add anything else into your presentation, into your life. Sometimes what you have is enough, and that's okay. It was a little too much for me this week to get props involved in this presentation, and I decided that that's okay. But I wanted to share that with you guys. We only worry about 8% of the things that are ever going to actually happen. And we are called to live in the present, not the past, not the future, just today, just right now. I know it's not an easy thing to give God our worries and our concerns, but when we focus on what He has for us and what He calls us to do in the moment, we can bring Him glory in each and every one of those moments, and that's all He asks of us. Have a great week, everyone.